Okay, everyone, welcome to the Tonecast simulcast on the Podbean page on YouTube and all the different platforms that the podcast goes to. I'm not quite exactly sure all of them. It's kind of an auto hosting thing. So if you're finding us on some other platform, that's awesome. Appreciate you guys listening to the Tonecast. Today is a very short episode, somewhat of an update for those on YouTube and also those that just listen to this Tonecast. I'd really like to take this show and do some different things with this show in the future. I'd kind of like to do some twists. I really enjoy the conversations with people. Don't so much want to just talk by myself for a long time about a lot of subjects. But at the same time, I kind of want to turn this into a little bit more practical, business-oriented stuff, not just like a business podcast, but related to the music industry, related to people in the industry. And I'm really fascinated as of late by people who have made change, people who have made something else out of a life change, an adventure, a new challenge, a new chapter, and really as we navigate kind of where Porter's at, where we're going, some ideas about the future and the way we might change things. I'm just curious about people's story, and I think I learn a lot from people by just talking to them and kind of like watching an example, sometimes a good example, sometimes a bad example where, you see something that someone does and you're kind of, log that back in my brain and not do that for sure. Sometimes, there's things that are obvious. Yeah, definitely not going to do that. But sometimes there's other things where maybe it's a decision or maybe a direction that people go and you can kind of look at that and say, oh, that's interesting. And so I'm really fascinated by that. I've got a couple conversations lined up here in the next few weeks that I think kind of go along with that subject. I'm not sure if I'm going to shift the entire podcast to that direction. Just know that you may have some random topics that are slightly outside the music industry, but I hope to kind of keep everything fairly connected to the music industry. I'm just kind of fascinated about just looking back. We just had our 15-year anniversary and thinking through all the different things that we've gone through and all the changes that we've gone through within that 15 years. I think there's been 3 or 4 major changes. Then there's been probably, 20 or 30 medium-sized changes, and then, thousands of small changes. But I really want to focus on some of those changes and think through those transition points, whether it was, chasing something that was a new venture. In our case, maybe launching the guitars or the Gatekeeper line of pickups, just kind of chasing those new things and how they went, how they, why we had the original ideas, that kind of thing. But some of the conversations, again, that I have coming up are more people who have gone through some of those bigger changes. Some of them are like drastic 180 life turn decisions. Some of them are, smaller things. And I'm just fascinated by that lately, kind of in this season of life, and just kind of, again, looking at Porter and how it fits into the rest of my life and kind of all those things. So it's a big kind of overarching kind of like looking towards the future kind of thing. And I'd love to incorporate that into the Tonecast and not just such cut and dry guitar things, which again, we'll do those. We'll have a lot of those coming up. And just kind of want to take this show and kind of do whatever we want with it. It obviously is our show, so we can choose to do that. So we're going to do that. We're going to try to keep it interesting for you guys. If you have specific topics, again, all that stuff, just keep hitting us with that. But I wanted to jump on, turn the microphone on, just say hey, and also just let you know kind of if you see something that maybe looks a little bit left field, kind of on the Tonecast coming up, that's really where it comes from. That's really the heart behind it. So keep in mind those things as you see the Tonecast kind of morphing and shifting. Just would love to continue to just explore and create and chase different topics as well. I think that's mostly what I wanted to kind of go through today. Just kind of a quick update. I've got a podcast scheduled for tomorrow, and then I've got some other people kind of lined up as well that I'd love to just start having on. So really enjoyed the past conversation that we had with Mario Martin, and I think that's what spearheaded some of this stuff is where I've just kind of enjoyed hearing people's story. Mario Martin started out. If you haven't listened to that, go back in a couple episodes and listen to the interview with Mario Martin. It's kind of how he became a guitar maker, was actually a whole separate kind of chasing a music career on top of that. So it's pretty cool. Really enjoyed that conversation, really kind of inspiring to kind of continue to push and explore and be, just become better and become more versed in skill sets and more versed in adventures. We were at a local music store, 12th Fret Music. Want to give them a shout out. They're kind of going big, moving to a bigger shop, and really just kind of got some cool stuff going on there. So up to have the owner Rob. When the dust settles, literally the dust is still there. They're still not quite fully open as of the recording of this. So I hope to have him on the show at some point just to talk about kind of taking that next step from buying a music store several years ago to now then, jumping into a new location that has a lot of promise, and which is something that I'm very excited about. And I look at that and I'm inspired by it because there are still people trying to go for it in this industry, despite things being a little bit weird in the last year or so. Many people are just still going for it, chasing like the thing that they feel like they're created to do. And so I love that part of it. I love that adventure. My next guest is a good friend, Lee Baker, who has kind of walked this journey a long time. And in the last few years, you'll hear this conversation with Lee on the next show. That's a little teaser. But man, what a cool thing he did in just kind of stepping into a brand new territory at an age where some people would say, well, what, maybe that's a little too late, but he's done it. And I look forward to that conversation. I'm really excited to have Lee on and just kind of, again, take this podcast in a new direction. So I appreciate you guys taking some time to listen to us. For those on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for being a part of that again. And we're going to have some more guitar content, some more guitar tone type things. We've kind of just been reinventing a little bit how we want to proceed with a few of those things. So excited for that as well. Thank you guys so much. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.